3, 2, 1.
You ready?
Listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Real Pineapple. This is your humble host, pardon me, Hunter here. Hope you're all having a great day so far, whenever you're listening to this. Great evening, what have you. I've got my thoughts on Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, the latest trailer that we got at the Super Bowl. There's a lot to break down, but I also don't want to spend 50 minutes breaking this trailer down. So I'm going to bring up the things that I found interesting, really in no particular order. So let's just kind of start off here. So the big thing for me that I took away from this trailer is exactly what I said when Scott and I reviewed WandaVision. How, yes, was Wanda absolutely manipulated by evil cis white man absolutely into a mental breakdown? You're goddamn right she was. Was she still wrong to enslave an entire town to go ahead and act out sitcoms for her to work through her grief? Yeah, not the best thing, but here's where I mentioned this in that review. Here's where I immediately was like, oh, we should all be concerned, because we see her in the post-credit for WandaVision reading out of the Darkhold. So it's very clear that while she understands, yes, I fucked up, she really hasn't learned shit and is willing to go ahead and sacrifice people and, let's be real, the world to go ahead and get her kids back. So here's where I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit. So the big thing is this movie is really hiding who the villain is. I mean, yes, we saw the evil version of Doctor Strange in the film near the end of the trailer. I personally think, and it's at the 206 mark, you see that version of Doctor Strange with all that dark magic around him. I think that's going to very easily be, or it could easily be, the MCU's version of Nightmare being introduced into the MCU. Mixing up the look and making him a strange variant would actually make sense, and that actually ties into Marvel's What If, which ironically was the last episode of What If that I watched. I don't know, couldn't get into What If like I did with the other MCU shows, but that could be their version of Nightmare right there. But I want to bring it back to Scarlet Witch, because admittedly, to her point, at the 140 mark, we hear her say, "You break the rules and become the hero. I do it, I become the enemy." So here's the thing that I want to point out. At the 148 mark, if you notice, the hue in the scene is completely red. That makes me think that she's using her chaos magic and has trapped Doctor Strange with her. Because when you think about that red hue, that's exactly the same hue that we saw during Age of Ultron, where she goes ahead and shows Tony Stark that alternate reality. So I believe she's fucking with Strange's mind, or maybe Strange is weakened at that point in the film from fighting a battle or what have you. But the fact that she is that red hue, that concerns me in the best way, because I haven't reviewed Loki yet. I'll probably need to before Multiverse of Madness, considering what I think could occur. But the fact she goes, you change things and you're a hero. I do the same thing. I'm a villain. And the way she says that doesn't seem fair is what scares the shit out of me, because we have slowly but surely, whether it's from Age of Ultron to Civil War to WandaVision, we've seen Wanda's use of magic. It's really similar to Willow in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Just how, each season you saw her use magic a little more and a little more. And so at a point, you're really just setting your watch to go, when is she going to just fuck things up beyond repair? I think it's this movie. I think this is completely where she fucks things up. And I'm here for that. Because look, Wanda is an incredibly tragic character. She lost, the love of her life. She has Doctor Strange, who is, let's be real, is constantly casting spells he should not be, which is why he's not the Sorcerer Supreme and why Wong is. Yes, I know Doctor Strange got blipped, but really, I highly doubt the magic, the people who are overseeing everything would go, oh yeah, Doctor Strange totally deserves to be the Sorcerer Supreme. He does not. And I'm very actually appreciative that he's not, because he shouldn't be. Now, with that said, he might end up being it by default, because I'm a little concerned for Wong in this movie. I hope he doesn't get killed, but let's be real, there's very easily a chance that he could. Going ahead and jumping back here, one of the other big things that I'm horribly excited about, we see America Chavez, more of her in this movie. We see her falling through, looks like the mirror dimension with Doctor Strange. The thing that trips me out is at the 124 mark, if you pause it, you see dinosaurs there. So I've been watching X-Men the Man-Made series with my partner, and she's had to listen to me bitch about why hasn't X-Men done the Savage Lands yet? For fuck's sake, why are we always on Earth? Why don't we go to space? God fucking damn, that's basically how I sound, but on loop. And the fact that there's a dinosaur in this trailer, is that the Savage Land that we're at? I think it's the debut of the Savage Land, because if you remember from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we got Bucky and Sam going to Madripoor. So they're slowly but surely introducing more X-Men elements into the MCU, I believe, obviously to set up their eventual arrival. Because we know we're getting the X-Men. It's just a matter of when we get the X-Men. And speaking of the X-Men, probably my biggest what the fuck moment for me is at the at the 118 mark, we hear someone say we should tell him the truth. And unless someone is just the best voice actor or best voice impressionist ever, that's fucking Patrick Stewart's Professor X saying that shit. Which, if that's the case, Patrick Stewart coming back. Sorry, Sir Patrick Stewart. My fault, sir. Sir Patrick Stewart coming back as Professor X. And I know some people are going to go, oh my god, why are they bringing back Professor Xavier? Oh my god, it's completely undercuts Logan. And here's the thing. I don't think it undercuts Logan at all. Because while I have not reviewed Logan. I should review Logan. Anyways, but while I understand that some people have that point of view and it just won't matter what I say, we get Professor X in the MCU. And I've always wanted to see Sir Patrick Stewart interact with MCU characters, but I am hyped for the fact that it's going to be him. Plus, most likely, it's a variant of Professor X. And here's the other question. When he says we should tell him the truth, who is he talking to? That's the big thing that I am horribly, horribly curious about. So I think that's going to go ahead and be an amazing scene. So here's where I'm going to get a little comic booky here. Not like I haven't already, but here's where I think the movie's going to be really important. If you remember, and again, this is digging into the comics a little bit, when the Illuminati are formed in the comics, there's this whole invasion of the Illuminati where the Skrulls are able to go ahead and get genetic samples of some of the members of the Illuminati, and they're able to go ahead and, have high-ranking positions of power because they're impersonating these big Avengers. And you know what that event is called? Secret Wars, which, as we already know, we're getting a show of Secret Wars that's actually being filmed as we speak. I don't know if it's actually being filmed right now, but you know what I mean. It's currently being filmed. So, question being, I feel like the Illuminati is completely setting up Secret Wars. And let's be clear, at some point the MCU will bring everything into one universe, because right now we're playing with the multiverse, which is fucking awesome. But at some point, the multiverse concept will end. Everything will be sucked up into one universe, and we'll just be down to one world. Also, this could be a way to introduce Reed Richards. Now, it looked like there were 6 shares when I rewatched the trailer here a couple minutes ago for the Illuminati. It looks like there's two people that are already seated out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shares there. So here's where I get interested. It looks like Mordo is one of them, because it looks like you see someone walk in the frame at the 116 mark with a sword there on their back. My question is, okay, Mordo almost seems like the obvious choice, and I would say he definitely is, considering we see him later on in the trailer use a sword. What if that's Blade? Because if you're going to introduce Blade into the MCU, which, I mean, he technically was introduced already during the mid-credit scene of Eternals, but what if that's Blade? What if we get Blade, Mahershala Ali, and fucking Sir Patrick Stewart working off each other? I could actually see that happening, and I don't know. I stand by the fact I think it's not. It could not. There's a very good chance it's not Mordo. So if it ends up being Blade, I will be incredibly happy and I will probably cry. But that's neither here nor there. At the 136 mark, this is where I get very intrigued, because a lot of people are saying that's Captain Marvel. It doesn't look like Captain Marvel. It looks like Monica Rambeau. Just the way the eyes glow and the fact that it looks like she might actually be in binary mode when she's going ahead and crashing through to fight Wanda. If that's the case, I'm shocked we're getting her before the Marvels. I actually thought they might hold off on her until then. But yeah, there's a world where maybe they just go, fuck it, let's go ahead and have them go at it. Which, I mean, I'll be curious to see how they introduce her into the fold, if that's the case. Here's the other thing I wanted to point out, or one of the other things I wanted to point out. There's a shot at the minute 45 mark where Doctor Strange is looking up and he sees a statue of himself. My theory is, because it's like surrounded by flowers and everything, my theory is this is a alternate timeline where he went ahead and performed the snap instead of Tony Stark. And so we're going to be introduced to a alternate variant of Iron Man, which I believe is going to be played by Tom Cruise. That's been a rumor that's been going around, but I'm going to plant my flag. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think this scene is the setup for that. God, is there anything else I want to point out? I think that's kind of everything I wanted to... actually, a couple more things. Loki. I feel like Loki's in this movie. It feels like... because we know we're getting Loki season 2. We know King the Conqueror will for sure be in Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania next year. I feel like we're going to go ahead and get... Loki trying to go ahead and explain the multiverse, or maybe explain his experience in the multiverse so far, and maybe even warn Doctor Strange of the imminent threat of King the Conqueror. The other thing I wanted to throw out is the fact that the drones that are walking with Doctor Strange, how their eyes are glowing yellow, clearly means that they're being controlled as they're supposed to be, because they look just like fucking Ultron mixed with Iron Man, which, if there's a timeline where the events of Age of Ultron take place, but Ultron doesn't go rogue, that would make a ton of sense. And they look very advanced as far as their mechanics, which, again, leads me to the whole Tom Cruise theory as far as them figuring that out. I think Loki's in this. I would pretty much bet money that Loki is in this. I also think that we're actually going to see the TVA's time doors be used in Multiverse of Madness. So go ahead and kind of tie that bridge. The last thing I will bring up too is, how is America Chavez involved? Because if you're familiar with her power set, she's able to jump across dimensions. So I'm really curious how she's going to go ahead and be used. And the last thing I'm going to throw out, the fact that we have Scarlet Witch at what looks like her old home in Westview. I'm really curious if maybe the Scarlet Witch we know maybe gets killed by this new variant and she becomes the evil version of Scarlet Witch. I'm really curious how they're going to go ahead and explain that. But I think the fact that we're getting that Doctor Strange drops the whole "the nightmare begins," I think that Nightmare is clearly going to be a focus of this film, if not set up as a threat to go ahead and go alongside of Kang the Conqueror. But outside of that, y'all, that's what I noticed, or at least some of the things I noticed. I'm so excited to see how this film plays out. This will come out in a couple months. We get this in May 6th, if memory serves. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I'm happy too that if you notice the trailer or the poster that accompanied this new trailer, there is a shattered part of Captain Carter's shield, Haley Atwell's Captain Carter. So I believe she's going to appear as Captain Carter in live action in the MCU, which I'm so excited. Plus, it's more Haley Atwell. I love Haley Atwell. So if I get to see her as Captain Carter, fuck yeah. But this comes out in May. I cannot wait to see what they're going to tie in. I can't wait to see what they're going to make canon. I can't wait to see what they're going to set up. Can this come out already? Let's get to May. But Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, what did you notice in the trailer? What did you think of it? Let us know in the comments. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter at JHunterRealPineapple. You can like both our pages on Facebook at Real Pineapple Games and The Real Pineapple. That's REEL Pineapple. You can listen to us most places you listen to podcasts, at SoundCloud, Apple and Google Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher and iHeartRadio, Amazon Music and Spotify, to name a few spots at The Real Pineapple. And you can find me on Letterboxd at Black Shazam. And you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/JHunterRealPineapple. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. We will have reviews coming up here soon for The Harder They Fall, for all of the Best Picture nominees that we lead up to the Oscars, as well as reviews for Batman 89, Batman Returns, and Dark Knight Rises. Not Dark Knight Rises. I don't want to review Dark Knight Rises, but reviews for Batman Begins and for The Dark Knight, leading up to the review of The Batman the weekend of March 4th before the show goes on hiatus. But everyone, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for your support. Take care of each other. Wear your mask. Get your COVID shot if you haven't gotten it yet. Stay safe out there, and we will talk to you soon.